A gracious good morning, Violet Universe. Coach T, Professor Tommy Halstead here with my Rosé hat on. Everybody's getting better in Rosé. This is our recap for decision two, and we're going to go quickly through it. You'll see in the last few of these decisions, we're past the halfway mark in the class. The recaps will be far less commentary and more just to take pictures for your remaining decisions and especially for your final reports with the heavily end-weighted points in this course. So I will run through these very quickly without a lot of commentary because at this stage in the text groups, I'm seeing you're doing fantastic in terms of analysis. You've got this down, and the rest of this is going to be easily downhill for you. It'll be a lot of competition because you can see what's happening with your decisions and with the others and other teams' decisions. But I'm seeing on the textbooks things, text groups, things like, hey, I'm noticing a trend here when we pick these negative numbers, they go negative. If we emphasize this and really look at EBIT and try to keep cycling back to that, we do much better. And yellow team this time had an amazing turnaround in terms of how deep they were before. And red just has jumped up wonderfully. Blue is doing fantastic in terms of almost being above the line on every. So all three teams are doing fantastic. You can just look at the results from before and after and see what's going on there. Let me share my screen. This really tells a story. We're going to take, you can take shots of this. Let me get this window moved over here so you can see it. This is our report of EBIT here. And you can see from, let's look at a little bit of before and after here. Look at yellow where they're at now and where yellow was here with this deep down here and deep down here in the previous decision. And then and now you can see the turnaround of yellow. So every red has jumped up to number one because of fantastic decisions they made in image. And we'll go through the white lines very quickly and then show the rest of the financials so that you can take pictures of them. But there's something to brag about with every team here. Blue is the closest to break even of all the teams. Red, because of this gigantic win in image, has jumped up to first place. And yellow had an amazing turnaround from being deep underwater to being above water on all three of these. And all they've got to really do is take a close look at low cost, and they're going to be breathing down the neck of red. So everybody's doing fantastic. Again, this has been an amazing universe in terms of portfolio decisions because of they're just so different. Everybody has very different. Now, remember, take a look at these in terms of when things are too high or too low, what is being spent on quality, and then how that relates to the revenue, what yellow is doing in their course correction. And someone said, I noticed when we really focus on what we did on the minus column, it becomes more minus in the next decision. So I also have snuck in and helped out with some loans where it needed to happen without making a big deal out of it, just to help you along when that became an issue with cash. But let's just quickly take screenshots of each of these and looking at their corresponding red and blue. These screenshots will help you with your decisions, also help you to see what's happening in the for your final reports and papers and all that good stuff. That was low cost. This is family. You know, we're trying to get into nearing a report uphill somewhere near 100. We're too low or too high. That's the white line going up or low. Overspending or underspending, and overmatching or undermatching supply and demand. So we'll see the lost orders in a second. This is the eco line. Take note of the red, where especially EBIT here, yellow versus red, and everybody gets killed in eco. So this is not unusual. But the other thing to look at is the unit cost. Where is this down here? Oh, yeah, look at your unit cost here. That drives a lot. You can see a huge amount of a portfolio decision difference there with your unit costs. Let's look up that image where red just knocked the ball out of the park. Um, Look how close to 100 this is, but look at yellow, what's going on here with engineering and image. This should be a really profitable line, so take note. Again, we can see the big drivers and where turnaround happened. This is your zero line, and yellow wasn't producing anything close to where they needed to for the first decision. They completely turned it around. And when you say yellow had a major turnaround, all three teams are doing great. Um, Red team, our leader, is just almost perfect on that zero line. Keep matching your supply to demand, and you'll have an absolute wonderful rest of the sim. Blue was building inventory and turned it back around. They flattened it back out, which is why they're close to EBIT, break even EBIT and Rosé on all of their lines. So this really tells the story. And you'll see exactly what happened at EBIT in the whole matching of supply and demand in the zero line in every line and where we did well and where we have to improve. Again, yellow is figuring out let's make enough of these and not be losing all these orders by driving revenue and not having a profitable revenue. The direction is great on both the other teams. In family, family should be a real winner as our cash cow. Eco is a deadly thing for everyone. So let's look at what's happening. Blue team, look at that. Really is right on the zero line. So from building a huge amount of inventory, figured out, let's sell this, let's market it, let's watch our pricing. Same with red, and the trend on yellow is great too. This is a universe that's getting it. This is the difference from your first decision, having no idea, ready, fire, aim, or fire, 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 and now you're doing ready, aim, fire. You're seeing what's happening, how supply and demand has met. You're running a company and running it well. Image, we got to see red here. Look at red and image. You saw those bars in EBIT here. Let's see, where are they? Yeah, red did great compared to the other two. We expand that. So this clearly is a great predictor of Rosé, retained earnings, everything else. We saw the other indicators. You can take a look at those. I already posted those on Halo. But again, image, um, yellow had a problem there because they were already in that trending and then they built a huge amount of inventory. So you can see in their marketing and their pricing of image where did not keep that supply and demand flat by pricing correctly or by so they really have to look at that. But in general, it was a massive turnaround. They did great. Everybody, and Blue, of course, is having some lost orders here in image, which they've got to take a look at. So they've got to look at the production and say, you know, are we marketing, but we're not making enough in image? Let's go to the white lines. Red team, low cost. Red team, family. Look at that match. Good going, red. Red team, eco. Wow. A little bit of an underspend, but what a curve follower. Red team, image. Clearly have got this sim figured out. Red team corporate. Let's look at cash. Huge amount of cash available. Have built a flywheel. Go to the blue team who did break even in almost all the lines. Low cost blue team. Good curve following, but we have to watch what is his performance. Be careful of underspending in performance. Blue team family. Great, great fit. Important line. Eco where everyone dies. Really still good. little bit of overinvestment, but doing great. Image, not bad at all. Wow. You can see how amazing if you look at the white lines and then manage to them what happens. Jump over to corporate, snapshot time, see your competitors and what you're doing. Let me see where are we at with orders. Okay. And let's see what cash flow is. About half the amount of cash, but still doing great. Yellow, of course, had a major issue in cash last time. Let's see what's going on here again with low cost. You can see that we're following fairly well, but a little bit of underspending and overspending. So be careful, Yellow, about especially about the low cost line. You really need to have a meeting on that and talk about these sliders. When you have one at 10 and one at 2, that's way too much variability. You need to really be not massively that much higher or lower in terms of these sliders. We keep saying, 10 compared to what do they want? There's a 10 and they want between 5 and 6. So just look at this and say, how do we match those lines? And you'll do great. You are doing great. You had a great turnaround in terms of supply and demand, but you also have to look at what we're doing each line. Fantastic there, a little bit overspending, but not a big problem. And family. And then eco. Bit of underspending and not a commitment to it, but not doing bad. Image, where we had a problem with loss overs over inventory, still a little bit of underspending, but that it's really matching the supply and demand and image that Yellow needs to look at. Let's go to corporate. And especially look at cash here. Where we at? Cash available is great. Lowest of the three teams, but they were negative 300 last time. Some angel from heaven gave an extra 2,000 because the leverage was not that bad. Let's take a look at the take screenshots, analyze what you're doing before the next decision, which is coming up this week. This is either Sunday night or Monday morning when you're watching this. And have a great week. Don't worry about the merger. It's something that you do in a simulated way. I posted some information on the financials a little bit, what you're going to need to do in merger, but you can look at the teams and decide, what if we merged red with yellow or whatever. You can do that, or you can say, look at, you know, Volkswagen buying whatever, I mean, different companies buying other different companies or branding them separately. It's just a strategic exercise to say, where does it work? In the 10-week course, you actually do have mergers, you sell plants, there's that extra couple decisions there. So we don't do that here. We also don't have a recession here because there's not enough time to recover. So, but watch the gas price indicators at that landing page for these last two, because if image starts to go up, red especially, be careful to watch your efficiency there, because red never cares about driving a Ferrari about the price of gas, but if it goes to a certain extent high, then it is going to definitely drop not your share down, but the overall top line revenue. So without further ado, have a great week. And oh, by the way, this is also peer reviews, right? We're into week 5. So don't forget your peer reviews. I'm getting a lot of texts saying, so-and-so carried this meeting, so-and-so didn't show up for the meeting. That I don't grade on any of that. That's the teamwork is the teamwork. And I mean, just imagine what you'd be in this class if you didn't have the teams. Everybody's answering everybody else's questions. You're working fantastically together in general, and you're asking questions that you wouldn't even think to ask if you weren't on your teams, and you're helping each other, and that's how real life works. That's how you run businesses. You're all remote and you're all talking to each other on Zoom, and that's the reality of life these days. So we will see you in Halo.